Hello there, Jarod the Dark Jedi here. As all of you are aware, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild are both on strike. And after some consideration, it has been determined that review content, like what is mostly predominantly makes up a lot of what we produce, is still going to be not considered crossing the picket line. It is still encouraged by the Screen Actors Guild, who established new terms additional to what was being asked to be complied with the WGA. What we do here, the conversations we love to have with a bunch of our friends, to have with you guys, is not possible. The stories we love to talk about, the stories that we love, do not get made without the blood, sweat, tears, creativity, and brilliance of the writers and actors. And currently, the studios who produce the things we love um, are working these writers and actors to death, not compensating them appropriately, and are trying to replace them with AI. I would think it goes without saying that the Nerd Academy podcast stands staunchly with the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, and we'll be supporting them from here until the end of these strikes in whatever way that we can. There will be links in each episode description so that you are able to see how you can help, where you can help, how you can donate to different funds to keep food in the belly and roofs over the heads of the writers and actors who are trying to make historic change in Hollywood as we speak. This review, this discussion, this news roundup, whatever the episode may be, was recorded during these strikes. And our love for the works of these writers, of these actors, will continue to be praised and discussed while they fight for their rights. And I want to implore everybody watching and listening to aid in whatever way they can. We stand in solidarity, and we ask that you do too. So, without any further ado, here's the show.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
What is striking, my writers and actors? Welcome to Behind the Nerd Academy Bastards. I am your host, Jared Bachman Evans. Welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I'm your host and superior webhead master, Jared Bachman Stubbs. And joining me, as always, is your resident Green Lantern, Professor Travis Grossman.
Hitler.
Travis, what you drinking on today, buddy?
I've got caffeine-free and zero sugar Coca-Cola.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a reversal. I'm going to full screen myself. Because not only am I the one drinking a Mountain Dew this time around, this past week it finally happened. I have converted.
Is that... So, it's kind of green screening?
Yeah. It is what you think it is. I've been Baja Blast pilled.
Were you not before?
No. I did not like Baja Blast for the longest time.
Wow, how's it feel to be right now?
I always missed out on the hype. I never got it.
I'm only not because I'm out.
Taylor got like a big case of it, and I was like, I'll give it another try. Because every so often I have like a sip, you know? Like Taylor's very much like if I'm going to Taco Bell, I have to get a Baja Blast. Why would I go to Taco Bell and not get a Baja Blast?
Yes.
And every time I'll like take a few sips, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like it, but
It's
I've been Baja Blast pill.
the thing with Taco Bell is that, and like I don't eat a
Horse
Taco
meat.
Bell, horse meat. I don't eat a Taco Bell, not even for any like pretentious reason, just like not into it. Um, but obviously I love Baja Blast, and so usually if a group ends up at Taco Bell, I'm like, well, I'll get a drink or like a freeze or something, and I think 90% of the time I get a Baja Blast at a Taco Bell, they're almost out of syrup. Not enough for anyone to notice and change. Excuse me.
But enough
The
that when you
syrup,
drink out of it, it's mostly
it's
bubbles.
seltzer. Yeah, it's seltzer water. It's Baja Blast LaCroix, and I hate LaCroix. So that is
You're not a
good.
fan of the La Croix?
No, I'm not a LaCroix fan.
LaCroix. You know, I know you're one of the next victims of my campaign to Roosevelt's pill. Everybody, I'm not a big LaCroix guy either. However, Roosevelt's has a like I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's officially licensed or not, but they have like a LaCroix collection that's like prints based off of the can designs.
Uh-huh.
They're beautiful. They
See,
are,
that sounds good. Like that sounds like a good design because the cans look nice.
yeah.
But then you drink them, and it's like drinking TV static.
Well,
Like,
you know what you can drink that doesn't taste like TV static, Travis?
that's true. You're right.
A Bloody Mary. A
Mhm.
damn good one from our friends over at sundaysbloodymary.com. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse, including their 3-time award-winning spicy mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. And if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, you can get on over to the pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus and salt that rim if you're really feeling freaky. So get on over to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout, and get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. I
For every
couldn't pass
LaCroix
up that
you
segue.
drink, for every LaCroix you would drink a Bloody Mary from Sunday's Bloody Mary instead. Trust me,
Yeah.
nothing could go wrong.
I mean, hey, I know people who drink straight Bloody Mary mix. They have like a Virgin
That's
Mary.
true. Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess it's not up to them to be like drink responsibly because they're just selling the mix.
Yeah, it is just the. I mean, whenever I bartended at that club, I've made a few Virgin Marys. Virgin Marys are easier to make than I think it is. Like, because I don't know. I've never just had straight Bloody Mary mix because that would just basically be a Virgin Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's easier to have a Virgin Mary at a bar if you're dealing with somebody who makes a bloody from scratch, because like it feels like you're actually making something still. You're just skipping the vodka because you're still like the tomato juice and the Worcestershire sauce and the hot sauce and the horseradish, etc., etc. But I can tell you, you could just drink straight Sunday's Bloody Mary. That shit rules. It's damn good.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do it. Travis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I saw some movies.
Saw some movies.
Yeah,
I want
which
to
is
talk about that a
abnormal.
little bit. I know. You were like, I'm going to see all these movies, and are you seeing all these movies? We're going to talk about that in a second here. I do want to, I kind of like made this decision unconsciously, and when I thought about it, realized I had done it and went through and kind of edited the show notes before I sent them to you. And that is that on top of the disclaimer that goes in front of all the episodes until the strike is over, strikes, I should say, are over. I also do want to start the show with any news that is pertinent to the strikes.
That makes
Um,
sense.
so before we
Yeah.
do talk Barbenheimer, which I am excited to do, I do
UPS
want.
also reached a deal.
Yeah,
by the way.
UPS reached a deal, and lucky ducks, because that could have been catastrophic for quite a few people. Um, but yeah, this is news from the Hollywood Reporter. Studios quietly go on a hiring spree for AI specialist jobs amid picket line anxiety. Netflix is hiring $900,000 per year AI product manager. Disney is looking for generative AI specialists, and Sony seeks an AI ethics expert, while the lab tech becomes a staple of SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild picket signs. This is again from the Hollywood Reporter, Alex Weprin. Again, the issue with a lot of like the main trades, which are good for what we normally cover around here and get the job done, and they're kind of our north star in terms of what we're covering and what we take seriously in terms of entertainment news. In a strike context, there is a little bit more subjectivity at play here. We've already seen Hollywood Reporter kind of step right in it a couple times with regards to the strikes. So just things to consider as well. Just put a caveat on just taking this kind of stuff at face value. Well, the writer and actor strikes are being driven by multiple concerns, questions about compensation being a big one. There's no question that the role of artificial intelligence in entertainment has emerged as a hot button issue. In a fiery speech in Times Square on July 25th, actor Bryan Cranston epitomized the concerns of actors, telling the crowd of hundreds, quote, "We've got a message for Mr. Iger. I know, sir, that you look at things through a different lens. We don't expect you to understand who we are, but we ask for you to hear us, and beyond that, to listen to us when we tell you that we will not be having our jobs taken away and given to robots." The actors fear that studios will take their likeness or voice and reuse them over and over and over with little or no pay, with little in the way of notice. The writers fear that studios will use large language models like ChatGPT to write or rewrite scripts, harming their livelihoods. The producers, aka the MPTP, argue that AI should be a quote balanced approach based on careful use, not prohibition. While the future of AI in Hollywood is unclear, there is no question that the major studios and streaming services are intrigued by the technology. Job listings at almost every major entertainment company show that there is a veritable AI hiring spree going on as companies seek to understand how the technology can change their business. And fittingly, given Cranston's speech, Disney seems particularly intrigued by the tech. The company has a large number of open positions focused on AI and machine learning across the country, per a review of open positions by the Hollywood Reporter. Some are part of the Disney's Imagineering team, a group responsible for turning Disneyland and Walt Disney World into renowned attractions. One job for an R&D Imagineer focus on generative AI is looking for someone who has the, quote, ambition to push the limits of what AI tools can create and understand the difference between the voice of data and the voice of designer, writer, or artist. The role will, quote, collaborate with third party studios, universities, organizations, and developers to evaluate, adopt, and integrate the latest generative AI. The job promises a salary of up to $180,000 per year, with the possibility of bonuses or other compensations as well. Another role for a machine learning engineer in the Disney Streaming Advanced Research Division will use AI to, quote, work on advanced personalization efforts involving digital avatars. In total, the Hollywood Reporter spotted some half dozen AI-focused jobs at Disney, but the company is far from alone in exploring the space. Netflix made some headlines after the Intercept noticed an AI product manager job that promises compensation of up to $900,000. Our business is driven by machine learning and artificial intelligence, which fuels innovation in content creation and acquisition, personalization, payment processing, and other revenue-centric initiatives, the company writes in the listing. So yeah, a price tag nearing millions being given to people to babysit robots when the people who actually make the media are asking for a fraction of that. It's almost like the studios have some unhinged evil fucking motivation here to starve out people to take slave wages.
So when I was an engineering major, my first, like my intro to engineering class that I had to take, we had a lot of talk about disrupting a market. Like if we were going to come out with our own item for sale, start our
Yeah.
own business. And it's a very business major topic of like you got to disrupt the market. You have to innovate to stay ahead of, to keep your profits up, whatever. That's not how we should be talking about movies and TV and storytelling and art.
No, I mean, and I
And
will. Sorry.
I I align that kind of thinking to pure, unadulterated. Somehow we evolved to this stupidity. I would bet these people can't dress themselves in the morning. Not the people not the tech people, but the executives offering these
Yeah.
salaries. They don't dress themselves in the morning. They can't make their own food. They shit their pants repeatedly because they're just too stupid to make it to the goddamn toilet. Um, and yes, I mean that to be as hateful sounding as possible.
You know, the thing that upsets me so much about all the AI stuff, and we've talked about this before, is that we shouldn't have to be afraid of what could be a fascinating and incredibly useful tool. You know, it is the fact that we cannot trust the studios to not go, hey, we're going to use like AI and, generative model, whatever bullshit, to make it so that it does 90% of like the screenwriting so that your job is to just like make sure it's coherent, not good, but coherent. Um, and like fill in the background with actors who we only need to pay once and other things like that. Like there is a way to cut costs in the long run. Therefore, you cannot trust the studios with this kind of technology because the kind of stuff that's being talked about, with the example of you know internal back end production stuff, like the upkeep of like the apps and the streamers. Sure, sure. I'm sure this is gonna expedite the process here and help people out. The problem is amid dual strikes that have AI at the center of them, it is such a remarkably tone deaf and frankly worrying decision to go on an AI centered hiring spree right smack dab middle of that. So
All I'm saying is maybe we need to start having a campaign where we pick out one executive every week and we get it trending on every social media that they shit their pants regularly
yeah,
and just like vehemently discuss it and other forms of online bullying because it's okay when they're not human.
based.
Mitch.
Mitchell. So Travis, this past weekend, you and I both saw two movies.
Yes. And
Did
neither
now
one of them involved a superhero.
and neither one of them involved a superhero, which is crazy for us. Um
Bigger deal for me than you, to be honest.
eh, I'm
You
not that
you
much
see
better.
enough movies that aren't superhero movies in theaters cuz like you are generally like a movie person as well as a superhero person. I, especially in recent years, have not been seeing non-cape flicks in theaters.
Remember that time we made a really big deal about Tenet?
Yeah.
Like we made our whole like practically the entire podcast was us talking about Tenet, New Mutants, and Black Widow.
Yeah, I didn't even see Black Widow in theaters.
No, you didn't. You ended up not seeing Widow in theaters. That's right.
And I remember seeing Tenet only because it was like the only thing out at the time because of COVID, and New Mutants was out, and we had to see that.
Yeah, we talked about it for too long not to. There are two bears.
Unfortunately,
There are
there are
two bears.
always two bears. Yeah,
One is
one is New Mutants and
hallucinating.
one is Tenet.
Yeah, well, I was to say one of them is um insurmountable thoughts of death, and the other one is hallucinating about raw dogging Florence Pugh in the middle of a government hearing.
Yeah, that was an artistic choice.
You know, not just that one specifically. This is the Barbenheimer segment of the show. Um,
Yes, we both Barbenheimered.
we both Barbenheimer. Did you? Okay, question. Did you do it as a double feature, or did you just see both in the one
Mm,
weekend?
I technically saw them within 24 hours, but it was not one calendar day. I saw
I I
Barbie
did one
Saturday night.
calendar day. I did one calendar day.
I don't know if I could have handled one calendar day, to be honest. I probably could have. I probably would have been all right. But I also saw them. I saw Barbie with Lexi, and I saw Oppenheimer with my mom. So I know
Mommenheimer.
Mommenheimer. Because at first Lexi and I were talking about doing the full Barbenheimer, and then I thought about it. I was like, "Hey, do you even want to see Oppenheimer?" And she was like, "Honestly, not immediately." 3-hour historical biopic about the chain starting for the probable end of the world
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
exactly everyone's idea of a great theater experience, which I understand.
yeah. No, that's completely valid. I mean, I I going back to what we started talking about semi-ironically, I do like the visceral, almost internal monologue made visual thing that happens throughout Oppenheimer. Like, like Oppenheimer, like visualizing the crowd he's speaking before being nuked. Um, the way that there's always like the particles dancing around him. Obviously, the one that we were joking about with Florence Pugh, with his, I can't. The other thing I like about that is that, and there was the whole thing about like what's in color is subjective, what's in black and white is objective. What I find fascinating about that is that even that moment itself, with like the visualization of like Gene riding Oppenheimer, in that hearing, not even hearing, but that like closed council, whatever, deposition, I guess. Is it like even that you can't tell whose perspective that's from? Because for the sake of like continuity of it only ever being Oppenheimer who's having these like wild manifestations, because in my at first I was like, oh, like like this is what's running through the wife's mind, is that every time this is Kitty's mind, is that every time Jean comes up, all she can imagine is the affair.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even the fact that Jean took her own life, put that in big old fucking air quotes, which put a pin in that. Um, but like, but then you think about it, it's like no, like Oppenheimer is so self-involved and centers himself in everything so much that like what is going through his mind is how his wife must be imagining this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, Nolan, I have my own gripes with Christopher Nolan. It's something we've talked about before. Um, I do think his vision for this movie was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I commend Nolan for not going for low hanging fruit and trying to make this a story that attempts to humanize J. Robert Oppenheimer. Like it humanizes him and it makes him feel like a real person, but like at no point does it ever ingratiate itself with. But he's really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He feels bad. He just built the bomb. He built the bomb. It's not his. He has no responsibility for how it gets used. So much so that even before the bomb is completed, he multiple times is called out for the behaviors that kind of lend itself towards his post Hiroshima and Nagasaki behavior. You know, that like when we find out that Jean had taken her own life, the way Kitty's like, you don't get to commit the sin and then expect everybody to feel sorry for you because of it. Like that was such a pointed line of dialogue that was so well placed. Like people love to talk about how like with Christopher Nolan movies, like he is very good at efficiency and very good at like trimming fat like down to like the smallest amount. And that line of dialogue was just so pointed. Like it was such a mission statement. And the way that like so much of this movie is about J. Robert Oppenheimer being incredibly self-important and an egomaniac who like insists on being the center of a lot of discussions, and playing himself off as this like grand intellectual. So yeah, I absolutely love that. That cast is bananas.
Yeah.
It's just Rami Malek is there to have Oppenheimer be a dick to him in 2 scenes and then has one amazing monologue and then fucks off. Same for like Josh Peck shows up, acts his ass off, leaves. Kenneth Branagh has like 3 or 4 scenes playing Niels Bohr. Like there's this, the cast is insane and it is incredible. It's incredible. Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt are both incredible. I don't think they're getting. I don't think people are giving them their flowers as much as other people who are in the cast.
Which does not surprise me.
No, I mean honestly though,
not indicative of them. I'm saying like based on the crew, like the general audience of Oppenheimer, I would expect that they're more focused on the male actors. I wonder why that could be.
Well, there is that. I will also say that they don't get as much to work with. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like Kitty is a little underdeveloped. However, Emily Blunt like just puts her whole foot in the ass of her performance in the 3rd act.
Yeah.
When she has her freak out in the hotel room, when she's testifying, and that moment where she doesn't shake Benny Safdie's hand in the Oval Office. Woo! Oh, that's so fucking good. I love movies. That shit was fantastic. Robert Downey Jr. is going to win the Best Supporting Actor Oscar.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
There is no doubt. There's not a shred of a doubt in my mind. RDJ is going to win an Oscar, and if he doesn't, someone else needs to get slapped at the Oscars. But no, I really did enjoy Oppenheimer. I left the theater angry.
I think that's correct. I think that's objectively correct.
Like most people talk about, like I left the theater kind of like sad or empty or just kind of like filled with existential dread, and yeah. But also, I just kind of left the theater angry at Oppenheimer, like that again, like he is just so that he like has this like self-inflicted wound of like performative guilt, and his legacy of like, oh, and the government forgives you because it'll look good if we do, and it's just like, fuck this guy. He and Leslie Rhodes and so many of the other people involved in this should be fucking hanged.
Did you just say Leslie Rhodes?
Yeah.
Groves.
I said Rhodes.
Yeah,
as in
James Rhodes.
James Rhodes. Who is the scroll? Oh, boom. You looking for this? Wait, where's the clip? I got to run it now because I said it. I lost it. Where'd it go? God damn it. This is riveting podcasting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping until I find this fucking clip. There it is.
I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Boom. You looking for this?
which is even funnier now that he has a bullet right through his fucking scroll brain. Going back to the Gene stuff, by the way, did you notice in the scene where she takes her own life the moments where they imply that she was assassinated?
Yes. I thought they were going to do more with that. I am surprised they didn't.
I
Not like
am
upset, but
I
3-hour movie.
quite literally blinked and missed it.
It is literally like maybe 3 frames. It's just the gloved hand on her head, and that's it.
Taylor pointed it out to me when we had our little lunch break between Oppenheimer and Barbie, and she pointed out, I was like, "Oh, motherfucker!" And there is speculation that she was killed because McCarthy Red Scare bullshit. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing Oppenheimer again. And I know, see the cinema, fucking IMAX, and a fucking speaker that'll like quake your rectum and blah blah blah. And yes, I love seeing movies in the theater. I can't wait to watch Oppenheimer like in my living room.
Yeah, that is like the thing with Nolan movies is he makes them for these big cinematic experiences. And this one doesn't have the problem that Tenet does for a lot of it where the dialogue is lost under the sound mixing.
Temporal pincer movement.
That being said, that's made up for by everyone having to do an accent. And
Yeah,
the
everyone
fact
having to do an accent that is not their own, which is funny.
Right. And so on top of the fact that like because part of the thing I was telling Lexi is that she was like, would I enjoy it? Like, should I go see it in the theater? I was like, honestly, wait till it's at home, because then when they're cutting back and forth every 4 minutes, not even, you can pause it and like digest what just happened or like try to go refresh yourself.
Yeah. It's 3 hours. You can pause it. You can pee. You can turn on the subtitles. You can futz with screen and audio settings. It's a lot of fun seeing a Nolan picture on the big screen, but also it's so densely packed that I have found myself getting more out of the experience watching it at home. Sorry, Chris. Now to talk about a movie that was made to be talked about to white men. Barbie fucking ruled too.
Yeah, it was really great. I think if you're going to do the double feature, you have to do it in the order you did it, which is Oppenheimer, then Barbie.
Yeah, Shot and Chaser.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Alden Diaz, did a triple feature that he called Barbenheimer Dead Reckoning.
I see. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought I saw his.
Which was just it's funnier when you give it a subtitle. Like Barbenheimer was fun to say. Barbenheimer Dead Reckoning fucks. I would see that actual hodgepodge of a movie.
My favorite take is you have to watch Barbie up until the first time she says, "Do you guys ever think about death?" And then you watch all of Oppenheimer and then cut back into Barbie.
It's like the fucking machete cut of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like Machete Order, where it's like you wait until you find out that Darth Vader's Luke's father, and then you watch the prequel trilogy, and then you watch Return of the Jedi. Oh fuck me, that's funny. Oh, that's really funny.
Oh, before we move on to Barbie, really quick, like fully move on to Barbie. Also, someone put on Twitter before I saw Oppenheimer about, I guess, spoilers. It's not. It's a biopic.
If you want the full details for Oppenheimer, by the way, like to really enrich your experience, and I'm so glad I did this, is I almost skipped it. I almost considered skipping it. Last podcast on the left did their Manhattan Project like 5-parter, and I didn't finish. There's 6. I haven't finished the last episode.
Yeah, I've been through 4 of them.
But I listened to all of the stuff that was pertinent to the Manhattan Project and the bomb being dropped. And it really enhanced the story. And I had fun like telling Taylor like the stuff about did you get to like Niels Bohr being like a fuck up?
Yeah.
And they allude to that in the movie where he's like when they rescue him, he goes, "I was supposed to put on the mask and I passed out and I told them I was napping." Like whenever the fucking uh like not yet CIA went in to rescue Niels Bohr from fucking Copenhagen or whatever, he was like
Yeah,
given
the OSS,
the OSS.
right?
He was given a fake name. He was given all these instructions and he forgot all of them, kept introducing himself as Niels Bohr, scientist the Nazis want, and fucked up during his extraction, putting on his oxygen mask, passed out, which could have killed him,
Yes.
making all of this for naught. And, and then played it off as though he was just napping when they went, "Hey, Niels, the fuck you doing, bud?" Anyway, as you were saying.
But I saw someone post about the name drop at the end for JFK and described it as the ending scene of Batman Begins where he gets handed the Joker card. And so now I have this unrealistic expectation that we're going to get some JFK related biopic from Nolan. It's Nolan, so I wouldn't expect it to actually be JFK. I would assume he would either do Robert or McNamara.
Okay, or this is us slowly finding out that Christopher Nolan is in bed with Last Podcast on the left.
And he's just going to do JFK.
And he's going to do Oswald.
Well, yeah.
You small potatoes.
You do it like Tenet, where it's everything's running like this. I guess it's another movie like that, right? Where it you see kind of two directions. Like there's one thing that's happening in chronological and the other thing that isn't. Memento, right?
Yeah, there's Memento. There's like some weird shit like that in The Prestige as well.
But yeah, it's his thing. They could do it.
Robert Pattinson shows up as JFK's inside
Wife.
to paint his wife's dress. And he's just like, "It's a temporal pincer movement."
Robert Pattinson is Jackie Kennedy.
Okay. Speaking of our Pats and Barbie, whenever Ken turned to the dark side and became like Ken Drew Tate, they, because it's WB, they missed a golden opportunity for him to say, "I'm Kenjance."
Yeah.
Changed my mind. I want to make that a fucking shirt and put it on our goddamn TeePublic. Just put like fucking Ryan Gosling Ken on the Pattinson bat suit. "I'm Kenjance."
Jesus.
Something in the way. Let's go party. Anyway, no, Barbie was great. Keeping it on the Cape shit with Barbie connections though. I did not know about that Snyder Cut joke.
I didn't either.
And I almost spat icy all over the person in front of me. Because I literally went, "Jack Snyder's Justice League," and went, like I made that exact noise and sucked icy up my face while I was frantically slapping Taylor's knee. I had no idea that was coming. Like I saw something in passing that was like, da 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 da. They take a pot shot at the Snyder Cut. But that could mean anything. That could literally mean anything. You know, like the boys have made jokes about Zack Snyder's DC movies, which we'll be talking about the boys quite a bit this episode. But like I was not expecting a named call out. But yeah, no, Barbie was great. I tweeted about this the other night. A lot of the people who are saying that Barbie is anti-man are like, I sincerely feel bad for.
Yes. Because
because if you think it's anti-man, it's actually anti this very particular version of masculinity that is like making dudes go fucking nuts, that has created a whole lot of unhealthy behaviors in men.
Yeah.
And that's what it's against. And if you think being a man is being that very specific permutation of masculinity,
So I have two questions, or I have two things to say. One, can you hear all the rain hitting off of my air conditioning unit?
I can't hear it. Yeah.
Great, excellent.
It's not a big deal.
Um,
It's not a big deal.
yeah. Uh, it's that moment when you see a League of Legends. I'm using League of Legends as a stand-in, but when you see a League of Legends player and they're going ballistic, this goes for any like video game, any competitive multiplayer video game, and they're like, "God, I hate this game." Angry all the time, and you're like, "Why? You can put the game down." And usually they go like, "No, it's fine. I just get like kind of upset at this." But every once in a while, it'll click for them, and they'll be like, "Oh
I
my
don't think
god,
I
you're
like this.
right.
I don't
I
like
I,
this.
I hate this."
Watching you have like a full Peter Parker black suit arc when Fall Guys came out is
Oh yeah,
something we don't talk about enough.
yeah.
You had a
Oh,
full like had to go to the church bell tower and just gung gung over Fall Guys.
I
It's
yeah.
sincerely hilarious that is a thing
I
that
so I
happened.
I put a lot of those feelings away because I stopped kind of playing Call of Duty and stuff for a long time,
Yeah.
and then played Fall Guys and just was so mad. And I was like, "Huh, I never have to play this game again." I have played it since and not gotten angry. Like I've worked a lot on myself. I feel a lot better about things. I know when to put down the controller. I know when to step away from a situation that's going to make me upset. That's why I enjoyed the Barbie movie because I feel all those things.
Yes.
You know?
I think it is a deeply silly opinion, and it is one that reveals a concerning mindset, one that makes me sad for people that they
Well,
are dealing with that in their life.
it's like because part of the brain worm of the patriarchy and Andrew Tate isms is like the being a man, those feel like those things of like jealousy and needing to prove your intelligence and prove yourself and be the center of attention, etc. That those things aren't like those are inherent physical traits, is how they are taught and treated.
Yeah.
And it's not. And you can grow up and be in it, like just be a human being and be happy.
Have you seen the interview with Greta Gerwig where she's talking about the horse thing?
Yes. Yes, I have. The
That is
that he just doesn't understand like things for a second that horses are actually in charge.
that's one of the like fun, like and I'm not saying this hyperbolically. That is one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
This is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Unironic. Like I laughed so hard through the whole thing. It's so funny.
It's fucking great.
It even makes like I don't enjoy a lot of like super crass humor anymore. Like I say that and I know me, but like in a movie, I feel like in a movie context now it's hard to pull off just because it's
Yeah.
been done so much. And so watching Barbie just be like, I don't have a vagina. He doesn't have a penis. We don't have genitalia. I
Well,
have
I
all the
think part of
genitalia.
that is like
Died.
they've done such a good job at like, and I don't want to get into like moral panic territory here. Like they made a decision that I think is interesting and is going to be something that I think is going to get talked about for a while is like what age group is this appropriate for? Not in some bullshit like they're pushing their agenda on kids, just based on sheer like content of the movie. In the
Mhm.
same way that like there are certain movies I couldn't see as a kid, not because of any agenda or anything I had to say, just because it's like I don't know if we're equipped to explain this to you if you ask any questions.
Right.
So like going into the Barbie movie, there were so many questions about like how kid friendly and what level of kid is this friendly to. So I think that there is an inherent like kind of like bob and weave, like, sucker punch you get hit with, where like so far, even though the movie has been quite adult in theme, irrepressible thoughts of death and like this whole like theme of existential dread, that we as the audience, part of our brain is still like, but this is a kids movie. And then you just have that like very upfront, I don't have a vagina, he doesn't have a penis, is so fucking funny. Because
And like,
you're still in that gray area of like, what age group is this for?
well, and I mean, it's for our age group
Yeah,
primarily, I think,
pretty
because
much, yeah.
because the thoughts of death thing, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a punchline. You couldn't be anywhere else in history and have that be the punchline of your joke and have it pulled off. Like have a full theater laugh, and my whole theater laughed.
Yeah. No, oh yeah, same. I was in a full fucking house for Barbie.
Same. Yeah, we had a full theater. And like the only reason I didn't have a full theater for Oppenheimer is because I went to like a 1:10 afternoon showing on a Sunday. It was all old people.
But yeah, no, it was fantastic. I loved it. Because I'm Ken is going to get best original song at the Oscars.
I'm just kidding.
Anywhere else I'd be a 10. It's so fucking good.
So now comes the question, and granted the strikes put a little bit of a kibosh in this. How long until we get our first Barbenheimer ripoff?
Probably
If
soon.
that makes sense.
Probably soon. Studios learn all the wrong lessons from everything. I mean, we already have like the wave of fucking Mattel movies that are in the pipeline.
Yeah, and that's in the same vein of what I mean, but because like that's the like, well, we have to be the MCU because the MCU made money. I think this is going to be a new MCU thing where they're like, okay, how can we release 2 movies?
Yeah, studios are constantly going to be like quietly and maybe even like one-sidedly coordinating releases to be like, what heavy art house film is coming out close-ish to when we want to drop this? Okay, here's when we'll drop our irreverent, silly movie. And the studio's going to learn all the wrong lessons from this, and it's going to be frustrating and have none of the organic charm that Barbenheimer has had.
Yep.
But yeah, moving right along, we got some news from Mortal Kombat 1 at San Diego Comic-Con. We got 2 trailers. Our first one was the Umgadi trailer, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch all of. I kind of got to the point of like, you know what, I want to know less of the story, or as a little about the story mode as I can. Basically, what I got from is that the Umgadi is kind of going to be like the Dora Milaje in this new Mortal Kombat timeline. We got looks at Tanya, Baraka. There's another character in there, but like I said, I kind of like skipped over that trailer because I want to avoid story stuff. But our other trailer was our first look at Combat Pack 1. Wait a minute. And it's here. Ermac, Quan Chi, Peacemaker, Omni-Man, Homelander. I'm going to put Jared Lander back up. I am so excited. I'm going to be fucking insufferable.
Homelander's been getting a lot of video game love lately.
Yeah, they did that big boys thing for Warzone recently, right?
Yeah.
You could like get Compound V as like I love how Call of Duty is treating Compound V the way Fortnite treats lightsabers. It's like, oh hey, I picked this up and now I can use the Force. How cool is that? And Call of Duty goes the like same direction, but like at the opposite velocity of, oh, cool. Look at this fucked up pharmaceutical thing. It's gonna right into my fucking veins, and oh my god, I can find laser eyes. But yeah, I am so excited for fucking Mortal Kombat 1, dude. Like, listen, I threw a fit when Kenshi, shouts out $10 patron Keandre Lloyd, he was right there with me. I threw a fit when I did not have Kenshi in Mortal Kombat 11. And because of that, I barely played MK11 because I was dog shit at it because I mained Kenshi so hard. To the point of me being useless as any other character. So we get the confirmation that Kenshi's going to be in Mortal Kombat 1. And I'm like, yes, I got my boy back. And that Combat Pack 1 leak was floating around. And I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up, you know? And part of the main reason why I never fully like doubled and tripled down on Combat Pack 1 leak was that little bit of suspicion as to why they would have Homelander and Omni-Man
Yeah.
in the same DLC. Even though they do fight differently, you know, Omni-Man, to my knowledge, does not have like he's super strong and he can fly and he's basically invulnerable, but like he does not have the other Superman powers where Homelander does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Homelander does have like the super senses and the heat vision and da-da-da. So I'm sure that's how they'll play differently. But like seeing it confirmed, and not only seeing it confirmed, but seeing it be like Anthony Starr Homelander in the trailer. I don't know if you saw the Combat Pack 1 reveal.
No.
It's fucking amazing. Like it is just John Cena, J.K. Simmons, and Anthony Starr. And J.K. Simmons
My
will be
favorite Mortal
voicing.
Kombat. Oh, good.
J.K. Simmons will be voicing Omni-Man, which means Anthony Starr has to be playing Homelander. You know, it's all but confirmed John Cena is going to be playing Peacemaker. Like it's already that model of his face. So, dude, Homelander fatalities.
Omni-Man. I haven't watched Invincible, but I've seen enough of the clips of Omni-Man to know that that's going to be pretty intense.
Oh yeah, dude. Fucking heat vision lobotomies. I am so fucking pumped. Speaking of the Combat 1 leak, we have another report from Combat Pack 2. It is from the same person who kind of slipped the details about Combat Pack 1. That'd be Idle Sloth. So, Combat Pack 2 is allegedly going to feature returning characters to Mortal Kombat: Noob Saibot, Kano, and Serena, with 3 more cameo fighters is a different term, with 3 new guest characters in Doomslayer.
Pardon?
Doom Guy allegedly is going to be the next DLC pack allegedly for Mortal Kombat 1.
You want to talk about fatalities?
Yeah. Deathstroke and Harley Quinn.
We all remember Injustice 1, right? We all remember
that ridiculous fucking Deathstroke super.
The ridiculous Deathstroke everything. Just like imagine if you were a zoner with no weaknesses. Congratulations. You're Deathstroke. You did it. GG.
We're also going to get 5 new cameo fighters, which are like the characters designed to be assists. And that'll be Rain, Drumim, Boraicho, Hisu Hao, and Hisu Ho. Those are characters I'm not familiar with, but I think that's from the 3D era. But yeah, it's a good time to be a fucking Mortal Kombat fan. Because Kenshi and Homelander are going to be my fucking mains, and I love that I can say that sentence. And again, my intention is to be able to start streaming games at some point in the nearish future. Expect to see this in a lot of thumbnails. Okay. And put Jared Lander away for the rest of the episode. Um, Speaking of both Invincible and The Boys as well, we got our first trailer for Gen V, the Boys spin-off show. I'm very excited for. Travis, did you ever get around to seeing season 3 of The Boys?
Nope. I'm a lazy man.
You should, especially in time for Gen V. It's coming out in September. Get caught up, dude. Boys season 3 is so good. It is the best season so far. It is like I truly mean this. I do think The Boys might be my favorite TV show.
Interesting.
Like period. Like I fucking love The Boys so much. And season 3 was fantastic, and I'm super excited for Gen V. You know, like season 3 leaves off in such a abysmal place that I'm very excited to see what that world looks like. Even just a little bit of time after how season 3 ends. I won't get any spoilers here with Travis in the room. We also got a trailer for Invincible season 2, another show I cannot recommend enough. I love Invincible.
Also need to watch that.
Dude, you are not ready. This show is so good. This is one of the best acted animated shows I have ever seen in my life. And like, granted, it better be with the all-star cast that it has.
Yeah.
But like, wow, is this show good? Even going in like knowing all the big twists. You know, like going in there having seen Omni-Man wipe out their Justice League, and already knowing about the think, Mark, think. Like if you go in already knowing about all that, it will still just blow you away with just how heartfelt it is. Because like, a lot of people dislike evil Superman, and I think it is a barrier of entry for a lot of people with both The Boys and with Invincible, is that how much the show relies on an evil Superman archetype.
Mm-hmm.
To which I say, not so much The Boys, but especially with Invincible. Like Invincible has all of the heart of like a straight up comic, of like a superhero cartoon. But with like The Boys' approach to violence
Mm-hmm.
and depictions of superpowers. Like motherfuckers get straight up liquefied in Invincible.
Yeah.
But like at no point does the show feel the need to like be disingenuous or kind of look down on and thumb its nose at the audience for watching a superhero thing. And The Boys doesn't do that either. The Boys doesn't do that either. In my opinion, one of the reasons I love The Boys is that so much of that show, like one of the driving conflicts of The Boys is whether or not good people get rewarded for doing good things enough.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I think is an under-examined element of that show. That so much of it is, like, it is Huey and Starlight trying to be decent people in an indecent world, and their decentness rubbing off on the people around them. Even sometimes Billy Butcher. Hashtag Butcherdemption. You remember that, Travis? When you bet against my boy?
Yes.
When you bet against my boy, and I knew he would do the right thing, and you bet against him.
I knew what I did.
I knew he would do the right thing. I was so proud of him. I still am. But yeah, no, I love both of these shows. I cannot wait for more from those worlds. The cast for Invincible season 2 is bananas. We don't know who all is playing whom. And I will say as a disclaimer, I've not read the Invincible comics. So I can't weigh in on what I think is to come. But announced in the coming to season 2 section of the trailer. Peter Cullen, Leah Thompson, Sterling K. Brown, Scott McNeary, David Diggs, Chloe Bennett, Cliff Curtis, Cleveland Burdo, Tatiana Menzlani, Josh Keaton, Kerry Walgreen, Micah Agling, Ben Schwartz, Paul F. Tompkins, Eric Bouza, Rob Delaney, Ella Pernell, Rhea Seaborn, Callista Flockhart, Camden Coley, Phil Lamar, Luke McFarlane, Jay Farrow, Lincoln Bowden, Chantel Van Sten, and Tim Robinson. And that is alongside the crazy lineup that we have for the show already with Stephen Yun, Sandra Oh, Zazie Beetz, Andrew Reynolds, Gillian Jacobs, Jason Mantzoukas, Zach Quinto, Kay Payton, Ross Marquand, Mark Hamill, like Clancy Brown, J.K. fucking Simmons. Yeah, cannot wait for it. I would love Travis because I plan on rewatching Invincible soon for the show. To you let me know when you finish Invincible. We can kind of do a season 1 talk back before season 2. I'd love that.
I think that can happen.
Excellent. Moving right along, we did get a very exciting announcement this weekend. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem has both a sequel in the works already and a Paramount Plus animated series coming down the pipeline as well. That also came on the back of Paramount saying that they're not going to be developing any original animated stuff anymore, which is pathetic from the studio that owns Nickelodeon. But hey, I guess when the writers aren't there to do it, actually do their job, you just got to rely on AI to give us like 18 more uncanny fucking SpongeBob spinoffs, you fucking vultures. However, I am excited for more Turtles. Last bit of news here before we get into TV talk. We got 2 DC animated features announced at San Diego Comic-Con. Travis, did you see these?
I did. Oh, I did.
So we got Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths.
We sure do.
And we have an animated adaptation of The Watchmen. How you feeling, Travis?
I'm like, I don't have many feelings about the Watchmen announcement. Like, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not as worried about that. I have not seen the Zack Snyder movie. I think I own a copy of it on DVD, actually, but I've not watched it.
The Zack Snyder Watchmen?
Yeah, I got it in like a grab bag thing from a secondhand store.
I haven't seen it the whole way through in several years, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I keep meaning to like
Wow,
sit down and give
shocker.
it another try, but
It's on my list of nerd movies to actually watch, of which
The
I've only
show's
watched
great.
one so far. Yeah, I haven't watched the show either.
the show's fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. So many motorcycles coming by my house today.
At least it's not like pouring rain at your window.
Yeah.
I am a little worried for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Uh-huh. What is that?
I always get kind of icked out now whenever DC's like, God, fucking cars everywhere. I get kind of weirded out now when they're like, we're going to do an animated feature of a famous comic run.
Mm-hmm.
As I continue to speak, the rain gets harder and harder.
It's trying to be heard over you.
It's like, shut up and just be happy. Shut up,
you fucking nerd. Eat the slop.
We gave you something you didn't ask for, and now you're gonna love it. We're
gonna do like the fucking like all the weirdos on the right who talk about how the World Economic Forum's like, you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will live in the pod and eat the bugs. Travis and I are
Totally
slowly
see.
turning into that, but because of the strikes in the studio.
Yes. I've been getting a little worried with all of the multiverse stuff happening recently. That now we're in a world where a version of a character and their actor are now set in stone. So like I don't think we're now in a world where Tobey Maguire can ever play Peter Parker again and not be the same Peter Parker from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That like
Which is weird because DC kind of like set the tone for not doing that when they did their TV Crisis.
yeah,
Because they were like, yeah, I know Brendan Routh like played like a Superman who was technically Christopher Reeve, but not. But like now he's Kingdom Come Soups.
yeah. Um but in and I guess like some of the ones in there aren't exactly their versions from like their original media, but they're meant to be right. Like the reference is that they're from
Yeah.
Smallville, they're from Titans, they're
Yeah.
from whatever other project. And so I worry that like and they did it as a bit with one of the Teen Titans Go movies before, where a bunch of
Yeah.
versions of the Titans showed up. And like that in that movie it's goofy and funny and that makes sense. There's a part of me that's unsure how this one it's going to work with this. If that's the vibe they're going to take, or if it's just going to be a straight adaptation. I'd rather it be a straight adaptation. Give me like a good cast of voice actors, a cool animation style, and adapt the comic to the best of your ability into an
Yeah.
animated movie. The other issue is that, and it's an animated movie, so it's going to be like 90 minutes tops, probably less than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of story to cram into 75 to 90 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That. I mean, I do feel the same way about Watchmen. I think the reason,
Yeah.
like, we've seen that Watchmen can be done in a movie,
Right.
but like doing Crisis as a movie is a bit of a tall order.
Yeah. So that's my reservations. I will watch at least Crisis when it comes out. I still have to watch a bunch of the recent DC animated movies. Like I haven't watched the Green Lantern one, the Jon Stewart one that came out recently. I haven't watched Long Halloween yet.
I watched part 1 along Halloween. I dig it.
It seems
I never got a
good.
chance to watch part 2, but I like part 1 a lot. You want to hear something funny that happened when I was watching part 1? Not you, robot.
Your watch was like, "Can I get you anything else, Master Wayne?" And then said, "Oops, my B, wrong call," and hung up.
Taylor and I were watching part 1. We got sheets. This is like a year ago ish. We're watching part 1, and I don't typically get like the sheets wings, but like I was just in the mood to dip chicken in sauce,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what
You're
I
talking
did.
like the bites, right?
Yeah,
Not like actual wings.
well they call them like wings now, but it was like the giant hunks of chicken,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Well,
and I
because they
had
used to. There's a time where they had actual wings for a little bit.
I don't remember that at all. That was very much pre me eating at sheets way more than I should. Um, and I had them tossed in like the garlic parm so I could dip it in like a spicier sauce and get a best of both worlds. And I take a bite, and it's like a really chunky, like hard, crispy bite. And I'm like, that must have just been like a really chunky, crispy part of the thing. And I swallow the chicken, I pull the fork out of my mouth, and I realize that a prong on my fork is missing. So I missed a little bit of Long Halloween Part 1 because Taylor and I were busy trying to figure out, am I about to like die because I'm gonna have like this fucking fork shard like lacerate the inside of my fucking guts?
You didn't tell me you had chomping powers.
I didn't either. I didn't know. I was so worried. I was so worried about whenever it might pass.
Yeah,
But everything we read on the internet was like, you won't notice. It was like
that's good.
you will either experience excruciating pain in your belly because it stabbed you on the inside, at which point you need to go to a hospital immediately, or it'll go right
Well,
through you and you won't notice.
and I presume since we're here right now, it
Yeah.
was the latter.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know. It was gone. But like
Or is the whole
I spent a day. Yeah, I was like, yeah, go back and like look at any like text logs and be like, we never heard from Jarod for like 3 days here. I wonder what night that was.
there's the real bit here is that was your long Halloween part 1, and then your part 2
Yeah.
was spent at the hospital.
Yeah. And the holiday eviscerated my fucking guts with a fork prong. Oh, dude, that was the scariest day and a half of my life.
I'm sure.
I was like, oh man. And then eventually, like several days pass and you kind of forget that you're like waiting to see if you're going to get impaled on the inside. And you go, oh my God, the fork that's in my belly. And then you go, I must have pooped it. So yeah,
And
with
stand
that,
up one day, you get blinded by some reflective light out of the toilet.
Anyway, with that, we're gonna take a little breaky for us, and be right back with some TV talk. And we are back from our little break here. Going to be talking about episode, was it 4 of Superman and
Yeah.
My Adventures of Superman? I keep wanting to say Superman and Lois. And the finale for Secret Invasion.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
But first, Travis has a couple things.
Yeah, this weekend is Magic Fest Barcelona. So another Pro Tour. That's really cool. Really excited about that. It's Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, which is a weird thing to say out loud.
That's cool though.
Yeah. I think that means it's
That's real
modern.
cool.
I think. If it is modern, that's really hype. If it's Pioneer, that's still hype. I like both those formats a lot. What was the other? Oh yeah, there's going to be more Doctor Who cards being revealed this weekend at Magic Fest Barcelona.
We also did get some Doctor Who character posters this week as well. Doctor Who's one of those things that like until I get caught up, I don't feel comfortable covering it. And I guess I need to watch all of the 13th Doctor stuff.
Well, that's like I haven't watched anything since like the first 2 episodes of Capaldi. I'm mostly just mentioning it as like a, hey, this is a cool thing that lets me talk about Magic the Gathering.
It's your Magic the Gathering beat.
There's a lot of really cool
have my
art.
Mortal Kombat beat that I just because I write the show notes, I get to pretend as like, a breaking story when it's reality. I just want to talk about fucking Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I saw a lot of the art in Gavin's like reveal video. If you look up Daily MTG, I think is the name of the channel. Oh no, it's Good Morning Magic. Excuse me. It's Good Morning Magic. Like a 30-minute video with a bunch of art talking about a bunch of the different cards. Well, there's art for the cards, not really talking about the cards because they haven't revealed them yet. They're going to spoil some more cards this weekend in Spain. So that's really cool. So be on the lookout for that. And quick update for One Piece.
I got a trailer, didn't it?
Yeah, so there's a Netflix trailer that looks okay. I think the show will be fine, probably. I'm not getting my hopes up, mostly because even if it's good, it's not gonna ever catch up. Or
do you think we could ever bring Levi out of retirement to talk about live action One Piece?
Probably
like a one show only return of Levi. That'd be fucking great.
And then so there was another trailer for the anime, because the big episode that I thought was this weekend is actually next weekend. It's August 6th. Which
Now, is
Japan
that the
just
one? Is that the one with the crazy reveal you told me about?
yes. There's a trailer showing it already. Like, Japan does not give a shit about spoilers. So we got our first looks
Hold on.
at
Keep talking. I'm looking this up right now.
yeah, just look up Gear 5 Luffy trailer.
Gear 5?
Gear as in GEAR, Gear
Okay.
5. All I'll say is I hear the drums. I'm very excited.
You say I hear the drums, and I get that gave me big Doctor Who, the master. Like, I thought you were like the war drums of Gallifrey.
The drums of liberation, my friend. It's so like
This looks
if you,
so fucking insane. Ridiculous power indeed.
if you are someone interested in One Piece and you're unspoiled, I have bad news. You're going to see it after August. Like, you're probably already seen it, but you're going to see it after August 6th.
It's just so funny to me that, like, One Piece. I think I've seen the only One Piece I have ever watched is like season 1 getting the crew together shit. So every time I hear or see something about One Piece, it is so fucking gonzo that I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this, like I can't imagine taking somebody who like read comic books in like this, like the 50s or 60s, and then sitting them down and be like, okay, so there's 3 Jokers. You know, or like, okay, so Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man now. Like, I
Imagine
cannot,
someone
imagine.
who watched Dragon Ball in like the 80s, early 90s, and you're like, but they only watched like up through the first world tournament of original Dragon Ball. And you're like, oh, by the way, Goku's an alien. And Piccolo's an alien. Oh, by the way, Piccolo was a demon. Now he's an alien slug.
He's a demon alien slug.
And they were like, I thought that was an instrument. What are you talking about?
Anyway. Yeah, so moving into TV talk. Up first, Superman. Another banger episode of My Adventures of Superman. I'm gonna tell on myself for something I make fun of people for very often, but I'm gonna take an L on here.
Oh yeah.
You know, we like to make fun of some of our friends even for being seduced by 2D lines on a screen. It's a drawing, a refrain you see on the internet. You know, it is the yin and yang of, okay, but hear me out. It's 2D lines on a screen.
Yeah.
It is yin and yang. There, inside you there are 2 wolves.
Inside you there are 2 animated bears.
Inside you there are 2 cartoon bears. And listen, as a hashtag buy guy, I had a moment when they're on the steps getting cozy where I was like, it's kind of like my own internal monologue that went, yeah, which one? Yeah.
Switching sides. Switching sides.
Switching sides. No sides. All sides. Yes. Goddamn, this show is so perfect.
Yeah, it's real good. It is.
I love how they do. I love how they do Parasite, and I was so excited to see Dr. Ivo, because again, Sizzle, not next week but the week after is when we're trying to do our collab with Mr. Radtastic. Dr. Ivo is very integral to his phase 1. So I was like, "Ooh, Dr. Ivo!" Like I got excited just because like I've had that character on the mind recently. So him showing up for this Parasite episode was fantastic. Yeah, no, it was a great episode. I'm also really glad we're getting to the meat and potatoes of Lois knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I do you know how many episodes of this are we getting? Do you know?
I think 12.
I think 12. I did not think that was going to happen until the end of the season. I thought the season would end with Lois either figuring it out or like a bomb drop of like, I knew this whole fucking time, Smallville. I was protecting you. So I don't know. I'm very intrigued by the fact that we kind of hit that pay dirt already. Not in a bad way, like oh, it's happening too soon.
Yeah.
But
10.
like when
It's 10 episodes.
it's 10 episodes. Okay, well we're just under the halfway point then, and we're having her figure out that Superman is Clark. But no, and I also like it's like whenever she's like still in the office wearing Clark's blazer, that she's like when she's like looking at like those periodicals, that I was like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, because I'm like, is the fucking page still in his pocket? And I got so excited. It's so well, it just pays off so well.
Yeah. I like
Sensational.
it speaks to that kind of modern comic book talk that like we've discussed before, but one of the things that the MCU does so different that works so well is kind of doing the kibosh on secret identities for the most part.
Yeah, very few heroes have a secret identity.
Because like realistically, it's so hard to do when everyone has one of these,
Yeah,
right? So
especially
like,
they also like. I think part of why they were able to get away with that is because so many of those heroes, like a secret identity, is kind of superfluous,
yeah,
and like because they couldn't use characters like Spider-Man or Daredevil or didn't really have an interest in doing some of the other like street level people who have secret identities. So starting with that, like because we kind of talk about like it's like street level, world level, cosmic level, you know those like world level characters, like yeah, you can have it be that people don't know that Steve Rogers is Captain America, but like you don't have to.
yeah.
That's not a big part of his character. Tony Stark, like they try to do the whole bodyguard thing, but eventually he's just like he's fucking Iron Man.
It doesn't even last like
You
a
know?
day.
Yeah, like the Fantastic Four, like has been public for longer than they haven't been. So like what's they like never really had a secret identity, so like what's the point in like trying to like that was always something like going back to the beginnings of Marvel, like their first big thing did not include fucking secret identities. They didn't do the Donald Blake stuff with Thor. They're like, yeah, he's just Thor, so
Yeah,
there's no need to do the whole Donald Blake misdirect thing. So it just worked that way, and they just kept picking heroes. We're like, yeah, you don't really have to have a secret identity, like nobody knew about Ant-Man or Scott Lang, like it was one of those like who gives a shit type
yeah,
things, until he becomes like an international celebrity because of his involvement in defeating Thanos. But like it is very interesting that like they have not had to broach that, and I know we're retreading a conversation we've had 1,000 times, but I do find it fascinating.
yeah. And I think this show's pulling off very well. Where like, yeah, Clark's gonna try to not that he's gonna be publicly Clark Kent to Superman because they'd never do that, but like they understand like how quickly someone like Lois Lane would figure this out in a like semi-realistic scenario.
Yeah,
That's
why I'm excited for you to hear Mr. Radtastic's Superman pitch. Is because like the ending of the movie heavily involves that dynamic, and I really like his take on it. But yeah, no, fantastic episode. I also like the direction they're taking Jimmy. I like this idea of like Jimmy's feeling kind of left out because Clark and Lois are kind of coupling up here again very quickly. They take to each other almost instantly, and I can't blame them because, but there's Jimmy in the wind, and I'm curious how they'll develop that out. Maybe he'll join the CIA and get shot in the head in the desert.
That is the best Jimmy Olsen story we've ever gotten, hands down.
Yeah, who gives a shit about Jimmy Olsen?
No one, not a damn person.
Oh man,
Something
still crazy.
Mussolini.
It is still fucking crazy that happened. But yeah, My Adventure with Superman is awesome, and I'm loving every second of it. I can't wait to watch the next episode. Oh man, I'm so intrigued. I am so intrigued with where they're going to be going with the Lois figuring it out plot line. You know what else I was excited to figure out? If Secret Invasion would be about anything.
Yep.
I've started working on, and we're going to try to do a season review to talk about the show in totality. I've begun working on my outline for if you added a couple episodes, here's what you could have done to actually expand the show. Because I was like everything else I've said about this show. The things that I like, I fucking love. Sam Jackson, great. Amelia Clark, fantastic. Coleman, amazing. Kingsley Benadir, great. Watching him in Barbie was fucking surreal. Because we're watching Secret Invasion, and every time I looked at him, I was just waiting for him to say some vaguely sinister shit and bomb the Mojo Dojo Casa house. At home in my own plastic. But I loved it. I liked the fight. I liked the fight a lot. I thought it was really cool. I am excited that we have somebody like Gaia just out there now with all of the Avengers powers, because I think it'll be interesting to kind of dissect the mechanics there. Like we were talking about Dr. Ivo, you can kind of do the Amazo thing where it's technically only using one power at a time in some way, and because it's a copy, she's not actually as powerful as Carol Danvers. But
Right.
all of these characters are so powerful that just a fraction of it. There's a lot of cool stuff that I think that I fucking hope they pick back up on. But the fact that the show ends with what should have been happening the whole time really soured me. That was a really, really tough pill to swallow for me. That it is not until the end that we get intrigue.
It's funny that the show had the whole AI conundrum with the intro.
Yeah.
And it does kind of feel like a lot of this plot could have been written by AI. And I don't mean that to be an insult to the writers, but it feels like they had I'm trying to think how best to describe it. The plot of this show was very much, and then this thing happened, and then this thing happened, and then this thing happened. And sprinkled in there, you have some very intense acting scenes for Jackson to work with, because it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get to do a lot of projects where he's the main character for Marvel, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't really been much of a leading man in recent time either. So you're not wrong.
Yeah, because he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
But, and he crushes it, those scenes are incredible, but they don't lead to anything bigger. There's no underlying thread about those scenes. They're just good scenes happening during the plot. That's just happening.
Yeah. Tell me something I don't know about blank was such a fantastic fucking scene. and it's like it just feels so like weirdly out of place now.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I don't. You're never gonna hear me say something like, "Oh, like what was the point of like this piece of media existing?" Like me not liking it is one thing. I'm not gonna question whether or not it should exist. I am not going to indict the people who worked on this for its existence. I don't think that's fair. What I will, however, say is that like I feel like something happened to this show in reshoots and on the cutting room floor that is going to boggle our minds one day. Truly, like that shot at the end of Olivia Colman and Gaia and like a bunch of the like British feds being in that like endless room of fucking fracking pods. That was in all of the marketing, and it felt like that was supposed to be way more fucking important for it to just kind of be like, oh look, I hate the direction this takes at the end with the president. I have no idea what the fucking point of a lot of the story thread was for Talos to be wrong. Like, yes, the world was saved, but as far as like the status of the Skrulls, Talos died for nothing.
Yeah.
Talos, not only did Talos die for nothing, he died and it allowed a situation for them to prove Gravik right. And that's really disappointing. And now, yes, I think a lot of this like weird international stuff might be important for Captain America: Brave New World. And I look forward to seeing that. I look forward to seeing what happens when the United States becomes like this belligerent fucking force, in the world that is like, which has happened in the real world. But we're going to crank it up to 11 with, like all alien beings are now enemies to the state and all this craziness. Like, I almost feel like that should have happened in the first episode.
Yeah.
I almost feel like the whole show should have been spent with this weird paranoia, and like there actually could have been like a coherent like metaphor throughout the show about like McCarthyism or like Bush era surveillance or something here. Just a little bit of meat on the bone, man. It's crazy that they wait until the last minutes for the president to issue this like space racist decree, and then it turns into people getting whacked in public in broad fucking daylight, and that's the ending of the show. That is bananas. Like you are leaving like what could be the most fascinating part of your spy thriller show as a montage at the end. And what the fuck is Fury doing now? Like
Back
what
to
is Sword and
baby.
Saber? What are Sword and Saber doing? Like, aren't they connected to the government in some way? So your plan is to just peace out while the president is trying to fucking like genocide the Skrulls? Like, and I like the Gaia twist. I like Gaia, on some level I like the fact that Gravik, his whole dramatic monologue about why what he's doing is like justifiable in any way, shape, or form falls on the ears he didn't want them to. Like I like the idea that like Gravik and his like a nihilistic intent doesn't get its audience.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we never know what the fuck Fury was doing.
That's the magic the whole time, baby.
Like it, like literally the whole show is predicated on like can you justify to us why Fury dragged his feet so hard with helping the Skrulls? And it turns out like we don't know. I don't think Nick knows. And I want to know what happened
Just
to
didn't
this show.
feel like it.
I mean, that's what it feels like at this point, which is like insulting and fucked up. And I know that, like, Nick Fury, if you know anything about comics, like, it's not like Nick Fury is supposed to be this bastion of like ethics and morals or anything. And I'm not pretending that he should be necessarily. Like, it's kind of part of his character that he's a bit of a shithead. But like, what is happening? What is happening? I'm Talos died for nothing. And like,
This is the
there's peace
first
talks
Marvel
with the
show.
Kree. What? What?
Yeah.
When did that happen? With whom? Why is this the first time we're hearing about the Kree? Oh, I'm sorry. We heard about him during the, tell me something I don't know scene. But like, if peace talks with the Kree just happened, how long have they been cooking? Like, why is Fury not like there was just I'm so confused by the ending of this show and frustrated by it.
This is the first show pretty much since the Marvel show started that ended and I went, well, that happened. You know?
Yeah.
Like it felt like I said, it felt like a connection of plot points with like some good scenes sprinkled in, and that was it.
I'm just really disappointed by this ending. And again, like I think it's very head empty, no thought comparison where like people are like, oh, this was gonna be Marvel's Andor. Like the whole the notion that Secret Invasion and Andor are/would have been, could have been the good, serious adult shows in this universe because you have, in theory, taken the magic out of it, I think is silly and kind of denotes an insecurity and embarrassment in the material, and again, and maybe that's just because like I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the Andor discourse. That so much of the Andor discourse turned into Andor's so good I could never watch the fucking baby show again. This show's so fucking good. This show's so good. Fuck Baby Yoda. I never want to see Baby Yoda again. I only ever want to see Star Wars where there's brothels and cops getting shot in the head. Which again, I love Andor. Andor's great.
Treat the cops with respect. Not cops getting shot in the head.
But like
Cap.
But like there came this point where like people were talking about Andor and it felt like the way Snyder Bros talk about fucking comic book movies.
Yeah.
Where it was that like it's serious and it's gritty and it's adult. You know why it's adult? Because people say fuck and people die and Batman's gonna get butt fucked in a jail. It got to that, like it's what it felt like with Andor. That's what it felt like with Andor. Is like there's a prison arc and fascism and like this is an actual Star Wars story about fighting fascism. Like every other goddamn Star Wars doesn't fucking exist. And
first of all, I forgot. How dare you remind me? Second of all, I don't understand, and maybe it's like just because I'm surrounded by memorabilia and shit, like everyone else that we know is, but like I've never understood being embarrassed because you like a show, or like in the capacity of like I'm embarrassed that I like Star Wars as an adult.
So I need to like sap it of its innocence to enjoy it publicly.
Right.
I think there's an intellectual dishonesty that accompanies that you, I, and the people we work with and are friends with don't have. I think that on some level there is a like there is an intellectual deficiency where you feel the need to hate on something because it's big and popular. Like I think like a lot of the same people who did the whole Andor is the second coming of Nerd Christ thing are also the same people who have been like saying the MCU is dead since Black Widow.
Yeah.
And that like every time a new thing comes out, comes for its neck, and was like leveling the complaints about the Flash that are real at the feet of Multiverse of Madness in a very silly way. And that like kind of like disregarding everything as either nostalgia bait or this or that, which again, I'm not saying that isn't there. You can have conversations about this, but like the same people having reductive conversations about why MCU bad or the Mandalorian bad are, I think, on some level embarrassed to enjoy something that is on its face silly and rooted in like a fanciful nature. And like I said, like to me, it betrays the same kind of insecurity of like a Snyder Bros. Like I'm here for shit like 300, where it's just like muscly fucking dudes in like leather speedos and capes kicking each other down holes. And like I feel so hyper masculine that like giving myself over to something that is so like optimistic and apple pie as Superman feels silly. It feels like kid shit. So I need to make Superman morally complex and hate being Superman and have him be alienated because he's an alien. Um Again, it's that impulse of like everybody on the Justice League is a loner and a lost soul. No, the fuck they aren't. You're out of your goddamn mind. Like maybe like I can tell you this: the one that you killed a movie ago certainly fucking isn't. But that's neither here nor there. And I kind of went on a tangent there about Andor. Sorry. Um, all of that to say, the reductive Secret Invasion should have been Marvel's Andor. I feel like only exists because spies.
Yeah.
And frankly, Andor, despite being about a character who was famous for being the rebellion's number one spy, there's not a whole lot of spy shit happening in that show. It's a political thriller, yes, but it's not a spy show. That said, if Secret Invasion and Andor should have had one thing in common, it was a goddamn 12 episode run. At least 4 episodes could have saved this show from its incoherent ending, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think having the time to flesh out or even just tightening down the plot to be either about the world politic aspect or about the very individual fight between Gravik and Fury. Like we spend so much time bouncing back and forth and neither one gets the proper time to breathe. And so if you cut one to fill in the other, I think 6 is fine. If you add 3 or 4 episodes, I think you do it in 3, to be honest. And well, also half these episodes are only half an hour. Like it's supposed to be a 6-hour limited series. Most of these episodes are only 30 to 35 minutes.
That is also a problem in and of itself, is this whole like, oh, it's like a 6-hour event. And it's like, again, like I like Moon Knight. I like Miss Marvel. Those should have been movies.
I think they were both fine as series, personally.
I think they would have worked better as. I think Moon Knight especially would have worked better as a movie. I think the first 2 episodes of Moon Knight move at such a molasses pace for me, and I just kind of like lost myself with the first 2 episodes of Moon Knight. That like I think in a movie where you tighten that pacing up a little bit and it moves just a little bit quicker, Moon Knight is a great fucking Marvel movie. I think Ms. Marvel falls into a similar trap where like we got to fill out this middle section somehow. So instead of like it just being the government coming after like the Middle Eastern kid in a Middle Eastern town or in a Middle Eastern community and fucking with them because they're racist pieces of shit, it gets real weird with the clandestine stuff and it kind of forgets about that plot thread the moment we can get back to damage control being racist bitches to Kamala. With this, I'm at this point. I think my thesis may be that I think the show should have started with some type of high profile assassination. At which point you get the we're going to put out a hit on the Skrulls. And like I get again, like the other thing that really infuriates me is that like fear. Like I know I said it already. I cannot believe that Nick Fury And again, I'm saying this as a fucking white dude. I'm saying this as a white dude, but I'm also saying it as a fucking queer person. I cannot believe that they are going to frame the ending of this show as a Nick Fury, a fucking black man who is constantly invoking the systemic racism he and people like him has faced throughout his life, is going to look at a world that is about to lynch the people that he left holding the bag. Skrulls on planet Earth have been fucking greenlit by the goddamn president, and it is partially his fault. Peace. I'm gonna go hang out with fucking the Marvels later. Peace talks between the Kree and the Skrulls. Since when? Like, did that just happen? How long? Like, what intermediary has been negotiating with the fucking Kree? And at what point were you gonna say that? Or did the Kree just hear about the fact that the Skrulls are getting lynched and go, okay, come on, we can put our differences aside. We've only been hunting you guys for 50 years or so. It's a fucking mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And I've seen some complaints that like they don't do enough with like the Rhodey, like us finding a real Rhodey. The implication that he's been gone since Civil War, I'm cool with. And I am very okay with the fact that they went, he's getting a movie, worry about it then. Cool.
Yeah.
Down. I'm fine with
That's
that.
fine.
I do not have any issue with the fact that we did not get a moment of Rhodey like having to live in that bit. Same with Ross. Like I'm cool with them sorting that shit out on their own. I am super cool with them sorting that shit out on their own. Because again, seeing Rhodey have to make peace with the fact that like somebody else saved the world in his skin. His best friend is fucking dead. Like he is in theory supposed to have a lot of power within the United States government, and that was a different fucking person. Like that's going to be interesting to explore, and I'd rather Rhodey have to like bear that cross in Armor Wars than that take away from what is already an incredibly tightly, densely packed set of circumstances with Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing that frustrates me the most about Secret Invasion is that it feels like an event that happened in the MCU that like if you're doing like an MCU complete timeline, like it will probably be an important event, but like you can literally just surmise it with the synopsis on Disney Plus and be like, there's a conflict with the Skrulls that, you know, exacts a heavy toll on Nick Fury and his spy-tastic friends. They beat them, and here are the spy agencies and networks of intrigue that are born out of it. Like, you know, like you just like okay, Secret Invasion happened. Moving on.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I said it before, we should have had an entire episode that was just Fury and Vara's relationship. Like, I think it was such an interesting idea to have like this dynamic between Vara and Fury that like never gets expanded upon. We have her offhandedly be like, would you have loved me in my own skin? That is such a bananas thing. And we see that she is in her Skrull form when she hears Fury enter her home, but changes into the Priscilla face when he comes in. And then that gave birth to all these questions. Is Fury no?
And even that, I wanted to bring that up, and we'll probably talk about it when we do the full review a little more. But I was really confused because like it felt like they went, he didn't know and figured it out just now. And then later they're talking about it like he knew. And like just the density of what's happening doesn't get to breathe. And so I didn't realize that the actual thing was he knew, but met her already as a Skrull and didn't ask questions as to how she ended up being this person.
Yeah. And I like, again, they should have had a full episode of their relationship developing. And by the time, and that being an issue, then that being a question, like that poem they exchange, to be beloved in my lifetime. That is so beautiful. And they act the dog shit out of that scene, all for it to culminate in like, call me Vara and kiss me while I'm green. Like,
Yeah.
and Fury not being able to answer her question initially, like that gets paid off. Of like, I guess we'll never know. But like, and I hate saying shit like this, but like the show never told me that I should be like super invested in their relationship. Because the way it is shown to us, we are constantly questioning it. And it is the one thing about the show we shouldn't have been questioning this entire time. And in a show that is meant to be a spy thriller, we know everything all the time. And everybody in the show knows who's a Skrull, knows who's human, knows who's fucking with them, with the exception of this dumbass, crazy, hateful president. It's just there was a lot of potential here. And again, having an episode that just is Fury and Vara. Having an episode like seriously, I think having a Gravik episode would have changed the fucking game. Having an episode that is Fury showing Gravik the ropes of being a, espionage hunter killer and, being sent in to collect all this DNA from the Battle of Earth, any drop of blood, anything you find on this battlefield, bring it back. And like showing Fury actively radicalize Gravik and Gravik see that like make the conflict more personal. And we get that from Gravik's monologue, which I love. We're like, and I wish we could have leaned into it more. And part of Gravik's motivation be slightly less to do with actually helping the Skrulls and be more kind of Jason Todd. Like, I'm not angry you didn't save me. I'm pissed that he's still alive. Something like that. And be like, I'm not angry at you that you failed to find us a new world. I'm livid with you because you got a new pet project with the Avengers.
Yeah.
We were a fucking hobby to you, and then Stark, drunkenly staggered out in a suit of armor. And then he became the son that you revolved around. Like, and Gravik being in a situation where he is out there with his Skrull brothers and sisters risking their life on some covert op to secure DNA off of a battlefield. And that's the moment he's like, you don't give a fuck about us. It's all about his Avengers. It's all about his little army and Danvers and Stark and Rogers and Thor and Barton and Romanov. Like center Gravik's like beef on that. Have him be this like unrequited fucking pupil of Fury. And Kingsley Benadir's monologue is so good. So good. It's so well acted. But like, it falls on deaf ears. The only time somebody finally tells Fury, you failed us. And the only time we get a response out of him, it's Gaia. Which is interesting. It's fascinating. We get to see Gaia's like indictment of Fury. But like, what good is it?
Yeah,
Because now she's just going to do the same job her father had, but for Olivia Colman's character.
Yeah,
it's the same
like,
gig.
That is kind of what I'm talking about. Where like those moments are there, they're well acted, they're well written, they're incredible. There's nothing to back them up. There's no substance behind them that we like. Watching those scenes, you can feel that like there's real emotion here. There's something here for us to feel, but I don't have the context of what these people went through to feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I agree with you. We're coming close on time for me, so we're going to cut our Secret Invasion talk here. So we have a little bit more to dive into when we do our season review. In the meantime, it is Q&A segment.
Qua.
First from Ray Clausen. Thank you, Ray. Hey guys, this is the Patreon ones. Hey guys, great job in the hyperspace gauntlet. My question is, how soon are we going to see Scarlet
Scarlet bit. Skiddly bop bop doobity.
Scarlet Witch back? Thor Thovenlunder. Let me start over. And not call Wanda Maximoff the Scarlet Bitch. Hey guys, great job in the hyperspace gauntlet last week. My question is, how soon are we going to get Scarlet Witch back, if at all? Also looking forward to that DC Universe pitch. Keep up all the great work. When do you think
I
we'll
would
see
say
Wanda back, if at all?
I think so. Like one of the big like it's been confirmed that things I saw about Deadpool was that she was gonna be in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, there's a big rumor that she's going to throw down with Jean Grey.
Yeah, and like I obviously that's not real. But also there's not a chance that she could be in it, you know? I think
Yeah.
you get to do something fun with Deadpool 3 where maybe you get to do a different version of Scarlet Witch. You get to pull in a different multiversal version. If we don't see her by then, I'd have to look at the list of projects again, but like anything involving Secret Wars soon, you know, could pull in a new version. Now that mutants are back on the table in full, especially with the comics. I don't know if you've seen the Kamala Khan stuff in the comics.
Oh yeah, you and I are on the same wavelength. I think we're about to say the same thing.
You go first.
She gets resurrected on Krakoa.
Oh, I wasn't even gonna go that far. I was just gonna say that like the fact that mutant genes are in effect at all means that we could see a new Wanda at any point, really.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. Where my brain was going was, again, the MCU is in a state of disarray, not because of quality control or anything like that. Again, I do think people have been overly hard on the MCU as a whole. We're kind of dogging on Secret Invasion, but you know, this was one of the rare MCU things that I think are just not good. Most MCU projects are like a consistent level of, hey, that was pretty all right. I mean, that was pretty good. To, oh wow, like this is, you know, really fun and engaging and whatever. But because your main villain is going to be tied up in what is going to be a PR nightmare for at least the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You know, Loki's going to be complicated come October. And now the dual strikes, which again, we are not complaining about the strikers. We are complaining about the studios who are going to make a lot of really cool projects probably not exist anymore.
Yep.
It is a big if. It's an if and a when, but like an if when for something like Secret Wars and you know, Kang Dynasty into Secret Wars. Who knows when we see all of that? But there is the clause about, like, I think it's like 2024, 2025, where like they can start recasting the X-Men without breaking contracts. Like, you know, like let's say Secret Wars. Here's what I see as like the two likely scenarios. Secret Wars comes and the MCU has some type of like medium to large scale reboot.
Yeah.
Clean the slate, kind of. Now that we can play with all of our toys, we can say that certain elements of the MCU have happened, still happened, or, you know, have already come and gone. So we don't have to worry about bringing back an Iron Man or a Steve Rogers or something. But also mutants have been here, and here is the Baxter Building with the Fantastic Four in it, etc., etc., etc. If there is some type of conceit where mutants have been here the whole time, and God knows how Deadpool factors into that, you can very easily just go, oh yeah, here's Krakoa, which again, there are rumors that Erishim, or no, whatever the name of the celestial that is like frozen in the planet now from
Uh-huh.
Eternals, that might end up becoming uh Genosha or Krakoa. So you then do the whole mutants getting resurrected thing that like no mutants actually die, they just get resurrected. I'm getting Genosha and Krakoa mixed up. I think it's Genosha. But whichever mutant like utopia, whichever one is the mutant
Yeah,
utopia.
it's Krakoa.
It is Krakoa? Okay.
I'm like fairly certain it's Krakoa, and if I'm wrong,
You
I
can
don't know, make
flame
fun
both of
me.
us in the comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
X-Men is not my specialty. I'm trying to make it, but it's not.
It's
But
really not my specialty.
like you could just do the whole like, yeah, like mutant society, boom, Wanda's resurrected on Krakoa and go from there. And you can then be like, yes, you are a mutant because like part of your powers is from your mutantdom, part of your powers is from the Mind Stone, and then you're fucking also like a prophesized Giga Witch.
Yeah.
Um,
The other
that or she comes
issue,
back for like the big war with Kang, and she's just like, yeah,
yeah,
I've been in hiding because I did a no, and I was like, I'm just gonna let the world do its own thing, but I'm back to help because I don't want my friends to die in the line of duty, and when I know I could help you all.
yeah, and that's the other thing too is that question implies Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and her being resurrected on Krakoa could also answer that problem and recast her
Yeah, and
if
like,
she
I
doesn't
mean,
want to come back.
in general, with any character now, like we face the issue with the MCU of like these actors want to also do other projects because they're
Yeah,
people and they deserve to work the way they want to work. Um, Also, I'm not saying this to like flame on Ray. That's not at all what I'm doing. Um, I think the question is totally valid, and you know, this is just part of my thoughts on it. Is like
oh yeah,
the I'm not saying Ray doesn't understand this. I'm saying in general, um,
it's part of
like
the equation. Yeah,
part of the issue if you ever wanted to recast Tony Stark is that person has to be on board to be Tony Stark. You know, one of the like the big benefits to the DCEU falling apart as it has is we got Robert Pattinson as the Batman,
yeah,
right? Like we don't get that movie if the DCEU worked in any capacity. Like even if it had just like kind of medium coasted, we would never have gotten the best Batman movie ever made.
yeah.
And so to
We also got that because like Ben Affleck very publicly half retired
right.
and was like in and out, like he was Schrodinger's Batman. It was a joke we love to make. Was like like this week we
Yeah.
asked him, he said he wants nothing to do with Batman anymore. This week we asked him, and he's gonna be Batman until he dies. Like
And that's also that's the thing is that these actors both deserve and will just want to do other things, and they can't do that when they're under a 10-year contract to be in 45 different projects, which is the cost that is paid to make something like the MCU work,
yeah,
you know? And
yeah,
so being I think it's not unlikely that maybe if we do see Scarlet Witch again in any capacity, it's not Elizabeth Olsen. You know?
yeah. Another patron question. Director Jake, I am going to be saving your I'm going to be saving your question you posed on Twitter for I'm sorry, X. Um audio listeners, I flipped off the camera. I'm saving your question for the season review. Because I think it's more pertinent there, but your Patreon question, if you could pick any character to come to the MCU, I guess it's like fast track them in some way, who would it be? My personal pick is Squirrel Girl. I think Squirrel Girl is the obvious and best pick there. Um,
A character to fast track.
for me, probably gonna be either Miles Morales
Yeah.
and start like sowing seeds for him in whenever we get back to Tom's Spider-Man movies. Um, that's a big one for me. Uh, and like I don't want to say Doctor Doom because that's just such a fucking obvious one for me. I think Miles. I think Miles.
Yeah. I think Miles is a really good answer. I don't even
Start
think
laying
Doom
the
is like.
groundwork.
I don't think Doom is a good answer for you, not because it's obvious, but because like we know it's most likely coming soon,
Yeah,
right?
that too.
Like
Yeah,
we have a Fantastic Four movie coming. We know we have a Fantastic Four movie coming. It that implies Doom will be here at some point, and they have the easiest setup in the world with Sokovia, right? Like it's teed up on the T-ball. They're a grown adult holding a metal baseball bat powered by robot arms.
they're like Jax from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and they're gonna slam that ball as hard as they can. It's so easy. And like as much as sometimes we make fun of stuff for like being written by Reddit, right?
Yeah,
And not
well, we've been talking
I
about
don't
it for years. That Sokovia just becomes Latveria.
yeah, it's so easy and it's so easy to pull off well that
Yeah,
they can and probably should do it for just ease of making it work. And Miles is such a great answer. And like I don't know besides any X-Men, I
well,
can't
that's
like
another thing
pin
too. It's like I don't know what they want their opening lineup to be. So like I don't know what would be like a reason. Like, oh, I want fucking Magneto. Well, that's kind of a given.
yeah. I
It's a
guess like
given that Eric Lenscher is going to be involved here soon. So
I guess
I don't want to say
my
an obvious one.
I guess my real answer honestly is a non-Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
Yeah,
Because like I
yeah,
love Hugh. I love Hugh. I love Logan. I think he's great.
me too.
Um I want to see a new take. I want to see something original. I want short kings to be represented. Not that I'm as short as
I was
Wolverine,
just saying
but
we are both average height men, so we're championing.
I'm just short enough that if I tried to lie about my height, it would be pathetic. Because like when you're like 5'10", you can squeak by saying you're 5'11" or 6 foot. Like you could probably pull it off. I'm 5'7", dude. On a bad day, I'm 5'6". Like this doesn't. People know.
Yeah,
And I've never cared. I've never been
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm short and so I suffer. But like, you know, give me tiny Wolverine. I need it.
yeah. I want a Wolverine who's not allowed to ride roller coasters.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent stuff. Hopping on over to Twitter. Like I said, Jake, we're going to save your question. We have a question from friend of the show, Boop, of the Nerd Herder podcast. They ask, and this is something we've talked about before, but this will be a fun way to cap off the show. Where do you fall on the all comic book media should be perfect adaptations of the comic, or these shows or movies should feel like playing with action figures and making your own stories spectrum? What would you want a perfect adaptation of? And they say, I want a Saga animated series.
A what anime? I'm sorry, a what anime series?
Saga.
I'm not.
I believe it's a comic. Is that a comic or a manga?
Okay,
wanna say
I'm
it's a
not
comic.
familiar.
I've heard very good things about it.
I have always said and always believed. That's not true. I'm sure at some point I've said not on a podcast, but like in my personal life. Comics do not always adapt well to the screen, and ergo a perfect adaptation doesn't exist. Because if you one for one adapt the comic book, it's something about it will not work. You have to change something about it to make it work for a moving, speaking medium. So I've always been like in the same way that like I've said recently that the MCU works because it doesn't adapt direct comic books.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know?
grab bag of different elements.
Yeah.
Now granted, like, we have gotten a couple direct adaptations recently, and I think that, because I firmly fall, I think I am probably, if these shows and movies should feel like playing with action figures, is all the way to the left, and direct adaptation is all the way to the right. I am like just center left, which is the only time you will ever hear me say that.
Jarod, when he was 13, said,
Yeah, yeah. The furthest right I ever was like a party line Democrat. Or the yeah, I said that right. I think, like, for me, I like to see things get adapted as closely as they can be. I do. There is a joy for me of seeing the story come to life.
"That's fair."
And that
And
there's
I,
something exciting about that. Like, for example, one of the things that I loved so much about Batman v Superman, whether or not the context of it, is handled well or anything like that, was to see an older Batman in a tanky ass suit of armor beat the fucking brakes off of Superman. And the fact that, love or hate that movie, there are like direct panels that are brought to life.
yeah, and I think you can do the panels thing,
Yeah.
but like for me, I had a point, and I just
Or like, and yeah, like those individual moments where you see a shot get recreated are amazing.
yeah,
Civil War and Homecoming do that so well.
right,
And
exactly.
seeing the stories get adapted directly as possible is always so fun, because it feels like you get to share it with so many people, who wouldn't have
I
known it
remember my point.
otherwise.
I remembered. I think for me, because I never really experienced my first primary experiences with superheroes was through animation,
Yeah.
right? Like it's the Justice League cartoon and Batman Beyond. And so for me, the idea of it needing to directly adapt other material never really existed. And so when I see that, and especially now that I've been soured so many times, like, yes, Death of Superman was incredible, but for every death of Superman, we have a Batman Hush, right?
I don't fully agree with you on that. I have a slightly less cynical take on that, but I get where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, and again, the reason I don't think Hush works for me is because they had to fit it into a universe where Hush wasn't going to be a successful story,
Yeah. You
right?
had to strip it of a lot of parts for that to work.
And
I guess,
so
like,
I think for my what I want to be adapted, I think Hush is my answer, but I want it. It would be so cool in live action because you get so many characters in one story. Um, but and I think also my dial does change for animation because it's animation
yeah,
and you have so much more room to play with that. I'm like, why didn't you just
do it.
add in Jason? Why is Tommy not the villain? When you even put him like Tommy Elliott's in the movie, why is he not Hush? So yeah, especially with live action, like I think the way they've tried to make certain things work, like how they've made Spider-Man talking to himself normal, how they've done the eyes to be adjustable. I
Lenses,
think those
yeah.
are those are all so cool innovations to be like, this is just how our Spider-Man works. In the same way with Iron Man, like immediately they were like, in the real world, the celebrity like Tony Stark is going to be followed all the time with cameras. That especially after having a like
After being
world,
missing for like 2 months.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ray's
No,
back.
I know. I do agree with you on a lot of that. And again, like, I do think there should be creative freedom there. I also think that, like, if you're going to adapt a story, you should adapt that stuff. Like, however many pieces you need. Because
Yeah,
there also does come a point where, again, using Snyder as an example, Superman as a character despite, not in a literal sense, like he looks like Superman, but like he's practically unrecognizable in terms of characterization. One of my my biggest gripe with Hawkeye, this came up a couple weeks ago. It goes so far in adapting the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, but because they want Kingpin's involvement to be a twist, it costs the show like having an antagonist until like the final moments, and that doesn't work for me either. Like, I think it is very much case by case, but also how many incredible things have come from adaptation. Batman didn't have a grappling hook until he was adapted. Superman just jumped really far. He didn't fly until he was adapted. Spider-Man the animated series gave us the very idea of the symbiote being this thing that brings out the worst in Peter. And you look at Spider-Man 3. There's a fascinating video essay I saw. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Godzilla Mendoza, but I don't think that's correct. Who made it like do not quote me. I do not think I have that creator's name right. But made a very interesting comment that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are more like they're adapting Spider-Man the animated series than they are adapting the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And that despite how much people like to boo-hoo the MCU Spider-Man movies, those movies go really far in adapting like the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko years. With the villains, with the high school stuff, with the come on Spider-Man moment, it's all like, it's shades of adaptation, and again, I keep talking about it because I'm so fucking excited to talk to him. Mr. Radtastic, like a lot of shit he does in his universe is like, I am going to tweak this and kind of twist the knob. Like he does a similar thing that Superman and Lois did recently. Where like Bizarro is Doomsday. It's like a Pokemon evolution. Like that's fucking cool. It's one of those things where it's like, this is almost so cool and so creative that I almost want this to become comic canon. That like, if there is a way to make this comic canon, Bizarro should inevitably evolve into Doomsday. That should be how that works. I think I brought it up last week, talking about like his whole thing with the Joker, that the Joker has only ever been in play twice. Once to annihilate the Mob Dons, and then the second time to paralyze Barbara Gordon, do Killing Joke, try to drive Batman crazy, kill Jason Todd, Uncle Jay's Christmas, and do all of these things in one fucking night and call it a day. I do think there's room for like, there should be room for adaptation, because I think there again, the way he does Jason Todd and Tim Drake is another one of them. I'm not going to spoil, but like, it's genius. It's fucking genius to the way he pairs them together. That's how it should be done, because they come as like a package deal, and it will increase the impactfulness of a lot of stories there. Another example, because PlayStation Plus let me play like an hour of Gotham Knights for free. I think we as a society should all agree that the organization that Ra's al Ghul runs is called the League of Shadows. I think the League of Shadows is a much better name than the League of Assassins. I've
always just thought they were interchangeable.
I mean, I've heard people use them interchangeably like recently, but like, I didn't know until I like started like, looking into the source material that it's League of Assassins, League of Assassins, League of Assassins all the time. League of Shadows sounds so much fucking cooler. The amount of Batman media that just takes it at face value that Bruce Wayne was Ra's al Ghul's Padawan. That is how they know each other. He was trained by Ra's al Ghul personally. It makes their relationship so much better. And it's crazy that I say that because I don't fucking like, or that's not I don't like, but like I am the one who's always, shitting on the Dark Knight movies, but also Batman Begins is like my favorite one. So that checks out too. But like you still, but no, I think it's a sliding scale. I think it should be case by case,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think that is all we have for you guys this week. Be sure to leave more questions and stuff for the Secret Invasion season review that we can talk about. Fingers crossed on our guest. If the stars align, I think loyal viewers will know who it will be. But yeah, I'm going to throw to future Jarod, who will be getting off with the Bombad cast here soon. So I'll be bombadified, coming straight to you to do my to do outros and shout outs and stuff. So future Jarod, take it away. And we are here at the end of the episode. Thank you, past Jarod. I am a Jarod post recording that and post being live on the Bombad cast. Here to do our closing pluggables and such. So first off, you can find Travis at Travis Political on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Hey, give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd.
Colin Provolone. Sir.
So good.
Steal yourself, Colin! Steal yourself!
This is me stealing myself.
And to Elix Jones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And a special thank you to our $10 patron, Ray Clausen, who implores you all to go donate to Equality Texas to help keep queer kids safe in the Lone Star State. Programming notes, same as before. Once I get this new job and this training week and all that shit, Heroic History 101 and the Versus series will all get caught up. Mr. Radtastic in a couple weeks as well. I'm so excited. We have so much cool stuff coming down the pipeline, guys, that I am incredibly proud of and incredibly excited for. And I cannot wait to share it all with you. And of course, we have links, as I say in the intro, we have links to support the strikes as well. So go and check those out to help the people striking to make a historic change in Hollywood. So with that, thank you also very much for watching and listening. Also, Student Store. Click that link and buy merch.
T-public.com.
Okay, that's all. Class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the